Set.
So at the tail end of our second training cycle, we did a little bit of testing during the deload week. Every 4 weeks or so, I like to do some physical metrics on the qualities that we had been focusing on in the previous cycle. And in this case, that was low-end power, short jumps, accelerative power or acceleration speed, and we were still focusing a little bit on max strength in the weight room. So what you're seeing here is some of the guys doing standing long jumps. Really nice test of being able to overcome your own inertia, get yourself moving, applying horizontal force. So matches really well with the theme of the cycle, that being accelerative power, low-end power. We also tested standing triple jump, another test that I like to do around this time of the year. I find this is a good indicator and kind of bridges the gap between some of the more dynamic work we're going to do later. I have quite a bit of normative data on these 2 jump tests for national class, international class, and even Olympic and World Championship level athletes. So it's really nice to compare against that. Give the guys a goal, tell them where they're at relative to their event group, where they're at relative to the season and so forth. Anytime we do a test during the deload, it's a really nice opportunity to see who can be a gamer and compete. So track, we go 4 to 6 months of the year without having a competitive outlet, and having test weeks where the guys are actually competing against each other. It gives them an opportunity to test their competitive mettle, so to speak, see who can show up on game day, perform when things maybe aren't ideal, and see how things go. So it's a really nice setup as effectively like a pre-competition competition. So even beyond the physical metrics that I'm going to get out of this, I can get an indication of who's ready to compete. We also tested 30 meters, as I said. We worked quite a bit on acceleration this period. This was the last cycle where we really truly focused all 3 of our speed days on acceleration capacities. Guys are testing here with electronic timing gates. All the guys are using a hand down start, except for our pole vaulter, who did a 0.5 fly run-in and had some pretty good results here. We were outside to take advantage of the sand pit for the jumps. It was a little cooler than I was expecting, and this particular track is not quite as fast as the track we have at the training center. So a couple of the times were not as big of an improvement as we might have seen if we had run on the track, but overall quite good. Some guys, I noticed that perhaps I had been overdoing it just a little bit, and the sprint times had actually fallen. We think we saw that in one of the guys in particular. It's a good learning scenario for myself, because now I can see what different athletes can tolerate in terms of the training load. Much better to see that during the fall when these metrics don't really matter too much, and I can learn from them and do effectively an audit on my own training for them, than to have that kind of thing happen when it really matters in the indoor season or in the outdoor season, when my failure to adjust their training or knowing what they can and cannot handle would result in a competitive failure rather than just a test day, a bad test day. Overall, guys, we're looking pretty good, though. As you see here, we're taking 30-meter times with a split at 20 to 30. Really like these timing gates because they give us a really accurate assessment of speed. We can always count on the times that they give us. Typically what I'll do is give guys about 3 runs a piece. Most guys, if they're warm, will hit their fastest run on the second one. If guys do hit a faster run by their third one. I may give them a fourth one just as an opportunity to make sure that they were fully warmed up and primed up for this test. I want them to be able to do it in the number of attempts that I give them, but I also want the test result to be representative of what their physical capacity is on that day. So, as I said, overall, pretty good. We had been working on acceleration quite a bit. Next cycle, we're going to switch over to a little bit more top speed work on one of the days. Also did some weight room work. This cycle, we tested on cleans, squats, and a couple of the guys bench press. As you can see here, had some monster squat performances, which is what we like to see at this time of the year. This was still a focal point for us, but I think at this point we got some really, really concentrically strong guys, and moving on from this cycle, we're going to be able to move on to other physical qualities.